Hello and welcome to Politics Today. I'm Farrukh Pitafi. Once again, we are going to talk about Pakistan's politics, particularly one by-election. And I'm talking about NA 249 Karachi, where the entire day election took place. And we know that the turnout was disappointingly low. And this is a quote from most of your channels. I don't understand how to quantify this statement, but it seems to be very, very low. Regarding the importance of this election, I have to remind you that this seat was vacated by Faisal Bada, who had won in 2018, and now he had to quit because of a legal matter, and then he actually got elevated to the Senate. That is not all. Amazingly, somehow the Election Commission of Pakistan decided to go ahead with the election in this constituency despite the triple whammy, not double. The first whammy, it is COVID surge is there. Second, heat wave and summers. Third, Ramzan. And after that, of course, the number seems to be significantly low. We still don't know how much the number is, but it is quite low. Regarding overall situation, there were 22 candidates who are fighting. We are going to talk about all these matters and more. We are going to see who is going to win. And we are going to also divine the meaning of the fact that there is a proscribed organization called TLP. And while it is proscribed, it is contesting from Karachi and doing well, by the way, in the election. We are going to talk about all these matters when we come back after watching this report.
NA 249 Karachi West 2 is an important constituency which fell vacant after PTI leader Faisal Wavda resigned and contested Senate elections. The constituency was won by PTI's Faisal Wavda in 2018 polls by defeating PMLN President Shehbaz Sharif. In the by-polls, Amjad Iqbal Afridi was fielded by Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf for being a young and energetic political figure in the constituency. The other candidates include PSP leader Syed Mustafa Kamal, PPP's Qadir Khan Mandokhel, MQMP's Mohammad Mursaleen and PMLN's Miftah Ismail. NA 249 constituency is among the seats where Sindh borders Balochistan and includes areas in both the Baldia and Mominabad subdivisions. The diverse population consists people from Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. There is also a considerable Urdu-speaking community in the constituency. There are total over 339,000 registered voters in the constituency. Among them, over 200,000 are male voters and over 137,000 female voters. NA 249 Karachi West 2 constituency was created in 2018 by amalgamating areas from NA 239 and NA 240. The election will have significant impact on national politics as the stakes are very high and all political parties are eyeing victory in the by-elections.
Off the bat, let me highlight the three controversies once again. First, why were the elections allowed to take place in the month of Ramzan when it could be very easily rescheduled after Ramzan? You realize that there is the COVID surge and everybody is really worried, and then it is really, really hot as well. The second one is, as I pointed out, TLP, which was very recently proscribed, but it is actually contesting the elections under its own emblem, its own election symbol. That is not all. The biggest the biggest and strangest thing that I have seen is the discrepancy in total numbers of population. When you break it down into male and female population, usually in constituencies you have 50-50. It can be 51 and 49, it can be slightly higher, slightly lower. But here you see the numbers are quite astounding. 339,000 total registered voters, out of which male voters are around actually slightly over 200,000, and women voters are 100,037. That is astounding, right? What exactly is going on? We are going to talk about all these matters. Then we have to see why, not why, who is going to win the election. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by Waqas Naseem Saab, who is leader of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. his party is doing very well on the 4th or 5th position today. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
In the studio. Next to him is Javed Rana Saab, who is a senior journalist, a political analyst, a regular on the show. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Ali Rashid Saab, representing Pakistan People's Party, joins us via Skype. Ali, thank you very much for being part of the program as well. Let me start with actually, I'm not going to start with any of the politicians. I'm going to start with Javed Rana. Just to understand, where have the women of Karachi's this constituency gotten to?
I think that's still a mystery, but going by the track record and the fact that this particular constituency has been made out of two constituencies in 2018.
So while they were actually the delimitation was going on, they left the women out.
There is a possibility of some sort of unfortunate manipulations.
Leaving 70,000 women out? I mean, in every household you have 50-50 population.
This is ununderstandable phenomena, because the women, male and female ratio all over Pakistan, that is almost 50-51. But why in this particular constituency that has been happening? This is a matter which needs to be thoroughly probed.
And let me ask you another very simple question. You must have watched all the channels today. How many of them actually brought this subject up?
Well, frankly, I have not watched most of these channels, but
have you gone through?
I have gone through some of the news, but I think this is not an issue which was made headline, and this is unfortunate, because this is a kind of a situation where the journalists, the media houses should have probed it long ago. I mean, we are discussing it now.
Remember, we are talking about the largest city in the country. We are not talking about any backwaters or any underprivileged area. There, usually it is thought that in big cities, women are more empowered. Let me now go to Baqaz Naseem sir. Sir, this was your seat to lose. And it seems that even TLP, People's Party, PMLN, and PSP, they all seem to be performing better than your candidate. Why so?
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Let me congratulate you first for raising this issue of women, because this is something which, before coming into the studio, I'm lost for the words for the first time in my life. I don't have an explanation for this, and I have to look it up. Why is there a discrepancy of roughly 63,000 votes? This is unthinkable, and this needs to be examined. This needs to be looked into. Now, sir, coming to the fact that perhaps Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf might lose the elections. That is a might. It might win, because the final result is not there. But let me congratulate my party over here, that Karachi, I have lived for 11 years in that city, and I remember that before the polling started, the booths were already filled with the votes. There was a time in Karachi that happened.
Booth capture used to take
place, and the returning officers, presiding officers were not allowed to go inside the polling booths. Now we had a very peaceful polling day. We did not have.
Congratulations from stout boxes. Now you have empty boxes.
No, we don't have that.
You realize that the turnout might be extremely low.
So that might be true, but I will request the time to make my narrative. 28.
Yeah, but you will allow me to keep on having these interventions, right?
You can have all the interventions. So 2,800 police people were deployed, 1,100 rangers were deployed, and we did not have a single incident of aerial firing or incident of scuffle, brawls, which were inherent pathologically in the DNA of Karachi.
So you are congratulating the Sindh government?
No, sir, we are congratulating the Election Commission. This was held under the Election Commission, and this is an achievement. Now, what has happened is, sir, that we gave the ticket to a grassroots worker. Now, this is the success of my party. Javed Afridi, he hails from Kashmir. He is my brother from Kashmir. He is the next door neighbor from Hajira. He has gone there, and he has worked very hard. He has worked his heart out. No, winning and losing is part of the game, sir. You understand that. I feel happy that with every instrument of government in our power which can manipulate the elections. You know that very nicely, sir. We are losing. That means it was a fair election. We did not intervene. We did not give funds. We did not intervene monetarily. Like everything goes on, election hijacking that is done. And I feel this is a moral victory for PTI. That
it might be a moral victory of everybody who is involved in the election because it was transparent.
Sir.
But bear in mind, given that Mr. Ismail is the leading candidate right now, you realize that you're talking about a technocrat who personally doesn't have a constituency, seems to be beating all the parties. And then TLP, a proscribed organization, the ghost of TLP, is doing better than two big parties, your party and MKM as well. I have to actually go and bring in People's Party's representation as well. Ali Rashid Saab, NA 249 is quite a diverse constituency. Back in 2008, it was won by your party. But it seems that even your party is not doing that well, sir. Why so?
Well, the thing is, I think my party is doing quite well compared to the last election, which is in the 2018, we were number 4. And I think we're giving a good chase right now. I think PMLN, I think the rail competition right now, the rail contest is between PMLN and PPP. If you look at the latest updates, obviously, I'm not privy to the information in real time what's happening, but from what I know is that PPP is doing a good job. And also you have to give us the due credit here that this election is actually happening under the Sindh government, and we're not using any state machinery or any kind of influence, so the better person may win. And I think PTI, I think people, the people have spoken.
Not that you're very happy that your party is doing better than 2018, but this is you first pass the post system, right? It means that whosoever is second actually doesn't matter. So even if you are happy, you are not going to actually be represented through this constituency in the National Assembly, from what we are gleaning, because at this moment it seems that the difference between PMLN and your party is at least 2,000, right? PMLN has 5,800 votes, around 5,800, and your party 2,500, and you are second. So it seems that it might not be enough.
I would like to also point out at this point that we haven't even covered half the polling stations. Half the polling stations are still left, so I think it's too early to comment or talk about that. But that being said, I think we're doing a good job. And I think in 2008 also, you see, let me clarify something. This area has never been our area ever. And in 2008 also, there was a sentiment, emotional sentiment, because Bibi Shahid had been martyred, and we did get a lot of swing vote, and our person did come. But since then, it's always been with the People's Party, with the MQM or the PTI. We've never even had a UC Nazim Mir in that area. It's always been with MQM or PTI. And the fact that after their representative of PTI being there for 2.5 years, they're losing so badly that they're on maybe 4th or 5th or maybe 6th. It's a big question mark, and I think it's about time PTI does some soul searching and sees, where they're actually making a mistake, instead of appreciating and accepting and applauding the fact, oh, we gave a ticket to a local worker and we didn't give it to somebody who's well off. It's not about that, I think
Ali Rashid Saab, in my life, I have seen many people celebrate their victory, but I have never seen any person who comes second or third or fourth in a first pass a poll system to go for chest thumping. It seems that your party is celebrating being the second, and that usually is not a good indicator on how you are actually performing. Javed Rana Saab, you can talk about the constituency because it is very diverse, especially as you pointed out, many have been merged together. It has Pashtun population, it has Kashmiris, Saraikis, Punjabis, Awans, Sindhis, of course Sindhis as well. Karachi, by the way, is part of Sindh, right? It is capital of Sindh. So by virtue of that, most are Sindhis already. But Javed Rana Saab, why is it that the Election Commission could not postpone it?
I don't understand when all over the country there are SOPs of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Why those SOPs are not applicable on to the Election Commission of Pakistan? These elections should not have been held at a time when the government is focusing on implementing these SOPs. I think to begin with, it is Election Commission's the fault lies with the Election Commission of Pakistan. And I think the initial reports that we are receiving that there is a disappointingly low turnout. Partly it is because of COVID-19, partly because of the heat wave, and partly also because of the fact that the people don't have that kind of enthusiasm which they had during the general elections. Because this particular election is not going to affect the national politics of Pakistan, but certainly...
Why not? Why not? I'm going to ask you that, but with your permission, I have to bring in our correspondent from Karachi. Ali Asghar Arbab Saab joins us from Karachi, reporter, correspondent, Pakistan Television. Thank you very much, Ali, for joining us. Let me ask you, do you have any final numbers regarding turnout in the constituency?
Hello.
Hello. Ali,
can I hear?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I wanted to start by asking you about the turnout. Do we have a final number?
Can you repeat your question, please?
In NA 249, do we have any idea how many percentage has voted? Do we have a turnout number, sir?
No, sir, not yet, because I have reported in this constituency from the morning. So not we can say that how many people has, because yet the result is not announced by the Election Commission of Pakistan, and the compiling process of the result, the counting of the result is going on. So we can say, however, I can say that in this by-election of the National Assembly, 249, when today I have reported, I have saw a lot of people who are casting on the election day, while in when we can see in common other ways the people are not so much interested in by-elections. But from today, when I have reported in the whole constituency, there are 276 polling stations. I have visited many polling stations. The people from all walks of the life, they are coming, especially the women, the men, they are following the SOP in spite of this pandemic. So the people used to cast their votes of different political parties. However, the four political parties that I have saw the majority in which I can see that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, PMLN, and Pakistan People's Party Parliamentarian, and as well as the PSP.
We know about the candidates. Let me ask you: can you did you interact with the voters, and did you get an explanation as to why there were so many people chose to actually not vote today?
Actually, there is a more 3,39,000 voters are in this constituency, in which 2,01,000 are the male, and while the remaining are the female voters. So the Election Commission has today 276 polling stations. All the polling stations are in which 184 are highly sensitive, while the remaining were sensitive polling stations. So the police and rangers are outside of the polling station deployed. So the process was very much peaceful, and their people are feeling, I saw that they are so much comfortable to cast their votes, because due to the security reasons, as they have feel the secure. So the people
another factor, another layer to our concerns about this election. But very quickly, regarding the numbers that you just mentioned, 200,000 men, 130 women, 130,000 women. Can you explain why there is such a discrepancy?
So of course there is a male and a female. There are 276 polling stations. Of course, 2,01,000 are the male, and while the remaining are the female voters of this constituency. So the people are interested, because when I talked with them, because this constituency still has a lot of problems, especially the water problem, the roads are broken at lot, and the people are a little bit confused when I was asked about them, that how to whom they are going to cast their votes. They are a little bit confused, but in spite of that, they are coming out from their homes and they are participating in the election, and they have posted their vote in spite of this pandemic. The situation is,
I'm afraid we have to leave it at that. Thank you very much for being part of the program. Thank you very much for your feedback. Let me go back to Javed Rana sir. You wanted to actually help us understand particularly these two aspects. One, the discrepancy. Second, why didn't people actually show up? Is there any factor that we are not seeing?
I think the factors are obvious, quite obvious. It's not a general election. This election would not have huge impact on the national politics. Though we can say that the government has a very thin margin in the National Assembly, but the kind of the political situation that Pakistan is going through, I don't expect there would be any threat to the government in the National Assembly in terms of no confidence move. So, given the fact...
But you realize that the man who vacated this seat was a minister. If PTI's candidate were to win, there was a chance that he might actually walk away with some person privileges and could have actually brought some development to the constituency.
I think it is a questionable for many people that why this particular candidate was fielded, who didn't have much experience, and at a time when I think this is the constituency where Shahbaz Sharif himself contested in general elections. That means PMLN thought that it is a strong constituency. And today's result so far indicating that probably there is a possibility that the PMLN could possibly win. I think it would again give a good tool for propaganda to the PMLN now, and they would say that the fact that
they're technocrat, all the politicians.
Yeah, their technocrat defeated all the politicians, possibly because this is their constituency, and they would possibly could say that in 2018 they had won the election. It was because of the rigging they could not win.
Mr. Ismail, hang on. Mr. Ismail is the gentleman who remained a finance minister without being part of the parliament, right? And the fact is that he is a PhD in finance. So he is technically a technocrat. Not even technically, practically a technocrat. Let me go back to Bakas Nazim Saab, and let me ask you, why did you actually go for this candidate? It doesn't seem that you even want there's a possibility that there's a lot of hubris, that you inhaled your own propaganda, right? And you thought that you are going to win, despite the fact that the difference in 2018 was only of 700 votes. I mean, Bada Saab defeated Shahbaz Sharif by 700.
True.
It is a big constituency. Then you bring in a candidate who is not even known to any person. I have never heard of him.
So, we feel proud of one thing. Whenever tickets are being awarded, there is a quantification which is done on 7 parameters. 1, the length of stay in the party, education, financial resources, organizational setup, the public survey, and the amount of time he has spent in the party, and lastly what designation he held in his previous party, or what when he came political background.
This applies only to MNAs, MPAs,
everybody,
or chief ministers as well?
Sir, everybody who has gotten a ticket from PTI.
Chief Minister Punjab, remind me, how long has he stayed in your party?
So that is
I mean, you are you have this very sunny disposition, and now let me congratulate you. From the very beginning of the program, you have been congratulating and showing pride in your party. And I really appreciate this sunny disposition, but humbly speaking, regardless of whatever the merit system within the party, you want to win the election, don't you?
Philosophically speaking, I want to win, democracy wants to win.
Okay.
We don't want to have body bags like we had. The amount of corrosion that was there, people were picked up, polling agents could not go, police officials were told not to leave their police station, police precincts. Now what has happened is that everybody has the right to exercise their right to franchise. Now the point that lower turnout, which we were saying, one aspect is overlooked.
Your answer was great, but it had nothing to do with my question.
Okay, let me come again to
The fitness of candidate.
This is a person who stood with Khan Saab in the dharna for 126 days. This is the person who went to, when one of our lady, I forgot her name, the president of Karachi, she was killed. He was the person who stood visual for about 51 days. He's a down-to-earth, humble, polite worker, grassroots worker, working worker on the blockchain level.
Did you give him the ticket in 2018?
So there was a better candidate suited.
2013. 2008. No, in 2008 you boycotted. 2002.
I don't think so. We did.
Right. Now let us talk about the better candidate. Faisal Wada. He is a federal minister. He was a candidate early on. Did he go to the constituency during canvassing and support this candidate?
Do you deny that Jawaz Sharif say there was rigging in the polling when he lost the elections? And if there was rigging, if Faisal Wada did not have the groundswell support of the people of Karachi?
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm asking you that you have a candidate.
Okay.
And the candidate, the previous holder of that constituency seat, actually vacated.
Yes, sir.
Usually he is supposed to go and canvass for you, help you. Did he go there?
Sir, unfortunately, the election laws do not allow us.
No
federal minister...
It cannot be done now, but it could have been done earlier.
Earlier than, he vacated the seat about 3 months back.
Yeah.
So there was the election rules which said no MPA, no MNA, no federal minister, no senator could go there. Nor
did he endorse the candidate?
I am
publicly in his speech?
Sir, absolutely. There's a unified chain of command that he supports Javed Afridi, as did Imran Khan Sahab. He went to Karachi about a week ago and Javed Afridi picked him up from the airport and they drove in the same car.
Okay, so if your candidate loses today, who are you going to blame?
So nobody is going to blame. In democracy, you win some, you lose some. We will look that we won Punjab, we won KPK, we won Gilgit-Baltistan, we won the Senate, we won the chairman and the deputy chairman.
Right.
We won every single contest we had where stakes mattered.
Right. With your permission, Ali Rashid Saab, one issue that keeps on coming up when you talk about this constituency is water. It is said that the administration doesn't provide water for 15 days. And everybody who actually was voting and who went out actually was voting for on this issue. The question is, everybody keeps on talking about Faisal Wada and how he didn't develop this constituency. But with due respect, when you talk about these matters, development matters, they fall under the purview of two governments, not one. One, the local government, of course, which says that it doesn't have money or the kind of support or powers. And then because your provincial government arrogated a lot of powers regarding development, regarding water supply and all, that's why it was your responsibility. Why is it that People's Party's governance model keeps on failing all the time?
Mr. Pitafi, if you let me answer, and I would like to protest here that I am not getting enough time or I'm not getting any space to talk or air my opinion. So I would like to request you to...
we can have Alisa, before you start, let us have a bet. After we are done with the program, you watch the repeat and you time your own responses and others. I think you got the maximum time from the guest. But go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Pitafi, the thing is, here I would like to express how unfortunate it is that the world is going to the moon. We have Elon Musk who's planning to go to the Mars, and here in Karachi we are still talking about water and getting votes, going to the voters and promising them water just to get votes and to win election. It's very unfortunate. Secondly, I would take a moment to digest the irony. The gentleman who was the elected member of parliament emanate from this area, from PTI, who is also the federal minister for Wavda, which water comes under. Can you imagine? The biggest issue of this area was water, and not only was he the MNA, but also the Minister for Water and Power. And yet he could not resolve that.
Hang on, will you allow me to actually cross-examine what you are saying? With due respect, we are talking about an age when 18th Amendment is there. The Federal Minister for Water and Power cannot actually intervene in the provincial development issue, can he?
Says who? There are federal projects, there are provincial projects, and there are local projects. They're on 3 different tiers, and each segment of the government has their own initiatives which they can proceed with and do. At least show me how many. Okay, let me rephrase my question. First, how many times has the gentleman gone back to the area after winning the election? Second question, in Parliament, how many times has he given speeches? Aaron, he's supposed to be the voice of his area.
Am I supposed to answer that question that you are putting forward? Because clearly, I asked you about your party's governance model, and I hope that you can respond to that question as well. Right, Alisha?
Losing so badly, which my other friends so happy about, that they think they've won, democracy is won. No, they haven't. People are suffering. They don't have water for 15 days. Please have mercy on them.
Hang on, sir. With due respect, you are not even listening to my question.
Who is responsible?
Who is ruling things for?
My question was about People's Party's governance model. The local bodies or local government says that your party has arrogated or taken away most of the powers from Baldia or the local government, and then it is your party that is ruling the province. It is your subject to provide all the development in the region. Why is it that People's Party's development model keeps on suffering all the time?
All right, let me tell you something. Why don't we do some research and have one more program on this same issue? 400 million worth of water pipeline, not prior to this election, not close to this election, but much earlier, was provided to this area by Singapore. It's documented, it's on record, it can be verified. And I would like to see any other political party, that is the MPM, PTI, etc., who may have done anything like that for this area, Baldia.
Okay. You're talking about lead pipes or water?
I'm talking about water. I'm not saying there's no room for improvement. I'm not saying that more cannot be done. But I'm just saying the only party which has actually done something in the area is Pakistan People's Party.
Yeah, and this is
Rana Sahab,
with due respect, this seems to be the, sir, with due respect, this seems to be the biggest tragedy when it comes to our politics. Now, whenever we are talking about MNAs, we actually misconstrue the role of an MNA, right? MNA is supposed to actually make laws at the center. They are not supposed to develop the constituency. It is the local government and the provincial government which are supposed to do it. If today everyone who went out is voting on this subject, this is the wrong level of the governance that they are actually voting on.
This is very unfortunate. The gentleman was talking about the pipes that they have spread in that particular constituency. Nonetheless, the water crisis still persists.
Yeah.
So the real problem lies with the Pakistan People's Party. They have to set an example of governance.
Okay.
And unfortunately, water crisis is not restricted to this particular constituency. It's by and large in almost in the entire megacity.
How many times Supreme Court of Pakistan had to take notice of the
notice. And then there is unfortunate, very dark reality is that despite the fact that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, they had an election campaign that the role of the MNAs, the lawmakers, would be restricted to the lawmaking. But the dark reality of Pakistan politics is that even PTI now has to do the same thing against which it was criticizing. This should not have happened, but the point is it has been happening and it will keep on happening.
Okay.
That means that our local body system has not been working. That means the provincial government everywhere, not particularly to Sindh, they are not providing kind of the governance model that is required to tackle these problems which falls in the category of metropolitan politics. So this is not the job of the lawmakers. Now People's Party is arguing that the MNA, the federal minister, should have had a development fund. At one particular point of time, they were contesting with the federal government that they should not invest in Karachi or Sindh without seeking the constitutional role of the government. So they are playing politics according to the situation. It is not something which is required. That is, unfortunately, because of this, people are suffering.
All right. Waqas Naseem Saab, if you want to respond to Ali Rashid Saab, you're most welcome to do it. But here is a paradox that you have to actually help us solve. Usually we have seen, especially in the previous elections, we saw your party walking away with 14 seats from Karachi.
Karachi,
right?
2 million votes, sir.
Yeah, that was substantial number, vote, right? But with due respect, despite that, you have not been able to deliver, right?
Very true.
To your constituency, 18th Amendment is there, local government is there. You cannot even bolster the local government. Do you think that you have a solution to this paradox? Because whenever you'll go for any kind of service delivery, the provincial government can veto you. And I haven't seen any effort of the federal government to try to directly empower the local government, which is held by your ally, MK.
Pitafi Saab, we are 44 minutes into the program, and I tried not to say one word about PMLN or People's Party, what they did, because we are educated people. We need to bring a change. We do not need to dump on our adversary what our follies are. But because my colleague, my brother Ali Rashid has said a couple of things, so let me tell you that because Faisal Wada thought did not bring water and the crisis was there, and it was this constituency, NA 249 isolatedly became a desert. Now let me just say that what Rana Saab had just said, is the water crisis just pertinent to 249, or is there a place known as Thar where people were dying in their thousands and the chief minister said that because they have nothing else to do, they produce extra kids, so people die? Look, so I'll just, sir, I'm just...
so with your respect, if we walk into Thar, then we'll keep on roaming about throughout the country, right?
Sir.
With due respect, we are talking about one constituency,
249.
and there 249, and there you were supposed to bring about some change because you got votes from there, right? And you are saying you're objecting to Ali Rashid Saab's point of view that Faisal Wada didn't bring water to the constituency. The concern I've heard is that he couldn't even bring his own good self to the constituency while he was minister.
Sir, let me just tell you what happened 1 week ago. 1 week ago, Imran Khan Saab went to Karachi.
Okay.
He gave about 500 billion rupees worth of package to Karachi or to Sindh. And what was he met with, the spokesman of the same? Why did the chief Prime Minister of Pakistan came to Karachi? He is just trying to get money for his hospital.
Okay.
They do not tolerate even the Prime Minister of Pakistan in their province. How are they going to allow?
Hang on.
You remember Faisal Wada just went to Saudi consulate and he was wearing a pistol. There was some firing going.
He was holding a pistol.
He was wearing a pistol.
He had it in his hand. Yeah,
Chinese consulate, sorry sir.
Chinese consulate.
And you remember that
when it was attacked,
he was in the vicinity, that was his locality, he went out.
No, but he was not supposed to. It is law enforcement's job.
Exactly.
So what happened was the hue and cry he received from there just because he was involved.
Look, I don't care if I'm a voter. I don't care whether the provincial government is with People's Party
or with
local government is with MKM. If I voted for you, I will expect you to find a solution for me. And if you are failing, you are not going to get my vote again.
So you are going to get that result in a dictatorship. In a political democracy, we have to take time. We cannot overrule the system.
Okay, I think we have to go back to Ali Rashid Saab. Yes, Ali Rashid Saab, you certainly are making a point. Please go ahead.
How are we supposed to, I do understand, I'm not shying away from any responsibility of the Sindh government or any other party. We're all working together. But now just tell me something. You to the province. He refuses to meet the chief minister. He says, I don't want to meet you. We are expressing, trying to welcome him. We want to talk to him. We want to sit with him. If the man is taking everything personally, please tell me, have you ever seen this kind of precedent being set where the prime minister comes to the province but does not meet with the chief minister? And this is not the first time. How are we supposed to make things work? How are we supposed to, you say yes, the Sindh government is supposed to work with the federal government and that's how things will get better for Karachi. But if Khan Saab is not willing to sit down or talk to us or have dialogue for whatever reasons, whatever personal issues he has, how will we move forward? Aren't we supposed to put our personal differences aside? I mean, my colleague here seems to be, much more, smarter and more politically, has a better political acumen than the Prime Minister. The man is just refusing to work with anybody. He's just taking...
But if I'm a voter from Karachi, I couldn't care less about these arguments, sir. My argument would be that I need water, I need development, and there are no roads. There are broken roads there. And the question, when I go to the local government representative, they say that we are not, as per law, we are not empowered by the Sindh government. Sindh government and Sindh Assembly is with your party. When I ask you, you keep on talking about other people like an MNA who is not supposed to bring any development to the constituency, MNA failing to do something about constituency. The question again, sir, you will keep on talking, then we won't be able to communicate, right? Let me finish the question. Ali Rashid Saab, thank you very much for your time, sir. Ali Rashid Saab, thank you very much for your time. Take care. Let me come back to the studio and let me ask the other guests to actually conclude the program for our viewers. Very quickly, sir, how are you going to respond to your constituents?
We are going to look at this loss, if it is a loss indeed, very seriously. We are going to study it, we are going to dissect the result, and we are going to make sure to go back to our roots, how we got 2 million votes. We value the 14 seats we got, we value 1 vote we got, and let me assure you on behalf of my Prime Minister that he will do the utmost to develop Sindh, the rural areas and the urban areas, and remove the divide that exists. And I will make it a point what you have raised today, that why were women votes 63,000 less. This is a very pertinent, this is agitating my mind all through the program, and I'm sure we are going to get an answer about it.
Right. Javed Rana Sahab, you want to actually conclude as well?
Crisis of governance in Pakistan, it is not restricted to any particular party.
Yeah.
That is everywhere.
Okay.
And of course, when it comes to the Karachi, the responsibility lies with the Sindh government.
Right.
And all these political parties needs to go, these rhetorics, and they need to deliver, because this is local bodies issue that we are discussing on a national television. This should not have happened, but the point is now our national politics has descended to a level where it should not have been, just because of the lack of a system. Local body system is not working, lack of governance that is not working, and because of the corruption, unfortunately, that is deeply ingrained in our system.
Corruption or not, there has to be a solution. I had thanked Ali Rashid Saab, but I can see on the screen, okay, he is not with us right now. Otherwise, I was going to go back to him. But let me thank all the guests who joined us. Waqas Naseem Saab, thank you very much for your precious time. Javed Rana Saab, thank you very much for your valuable input. And Ali Rashid Saab also, thank you very much for joining us. Because you have listened to our participants. The question right now is not about who is merely going to win or not. The problem lies with the overall system where basic questions go unanswered. I asked 3 questions at the start, and all of those 3 questions still need answers, because nobody on the national media was asking these questions, right? Particularly discrepancy of women voters, discrepancy in the numbers of men and women voters. The second aspect that I pointed out, of course, there is a concern about TLP because it takes the Election Commission some time to denotify a party. That hasn't happened, even though it was declared proscribed by the federal government. But we still have to see, because today the party actually filed a review. The third question has to be asked, actually put to the Election Commission of Pakistan: why couldn't this election vote? Why could this election not wait for another 15-20 days when Ramzan was over? Perhaps the COVID's numbers would have come down. But regardless, today we are looking at democracy at play. The quality of democracy is actually brought out by the quality of discourse as well. And you keep on seeing what exactly is going on. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.